Hello, everyone. My name is Chandra. I am the CEO and founder of SecPod Technologies. I'm here to talk to you today about our new product upgrade, SanerNow 6.1. I'm joined by my colleague Kaushik from engineering. He heads engineering at SecPod, so we both will be taking you through the new upgrade that we have introduced into our platform 6.1. We're pretty excited to talk to you about it today, of course, because over the last few months we worked hard on it to bring in some of the key capabilities into the platform to help customers achieve uh, a cyber hygiene, which which helps prevent cyber attacks. That is the primary goal of our platform. Kaushik, a quick introduction from you before getting into the session.
Sure, Chandra. Hello, everyone. My name is Kaushik. I'm the Director of Engineering. I head the product team here and really excited to do a walkthrough of all the capabilities we have built. So, really excited.
Thank you, Kaushik. I'm pretty sure there are a number of exciting things that we want to showcase as part of this webinar today. So at SecPod, product has been the key sort of a pillar around which all the other strategies kind of evolve. So for us, the primary principle has been the product. It has to deliver value. It has to deliver uh, on the promises that we make to our customers. So we did that big with 6.0, which was launched a few months ago. We introduced new products as well as amazing capabilities that helped our customers strengthen their cybersecurity posture. We are delivering now with 6.1, which was introduced the last weekend. So as part of this webinar today, we will, of course, be giving you an introduction to each of those new features that are introduced into the platform. We will also have the demonstration of all of these newer capabilities, and we will give you a sneak peek into the next version that we've already started working on. And towards the end of the session, we will leave the option open for Q&A. So during the webinar, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat window. We will attend to each one of them towards the end of the webinar. Right, with that, let me give you a very quick introduction to our platform. We have, at SecPod, we have invented a concept called CVEM, Continuous Vulnerability and Exposure Management, to help set up a security posture that can defend itself from cyber attacks. So in order to prevent cyber attacks, the CVEM framework kind of helps organizations to establish that security posture, which is hardened. So it starts with giving visibility into the infrastructure on a continuous basis, normalizing the infrastructure and make it known good, detect vulnerabilities of all kind, not just the software vulnerabilities, but misconfigurations, but posture anomalies, security controls that are deviating, etc. And then prioritize these vulnerabilities in order to streamline the remediation effort. And then, of course, go ahead and fix those vulnerabilities either through patches or applying misconfigurations or addressing the deviating security controls or any other vulnerability response mechanism that you want to roll out to fix that vulnerability and make this into a continuous and automated process. So this is what we have been working at SecPod. Our SanerNow platform brings together about 7 different products into one single console to help implement a cybersecurity posture for the organizations in order to shrink the attack surface and eliminate the possibility of cyber attacks. So this is what we do at SecPod. Uh, I would like to maybe run a quick video to demonstrate CVEM capability. Let me share my screen for that. Just
Chantu, the audio can.
Every attack involves the exploitation of a weakness. It sounds obvious, but a weakness is the fundamental cause of every cyber attack. So, it is important to look from a weakness perspective. The weakness perspective involves assessing devices, applications, users and identities, data, networks, and security controls in your IT infrastructure. Weakness analysis will evaluate attack surface, get granular visibility, identify gaps in security posture, understand strengths in your network. SecPod is introducing Continuous Vulnerability and Exposure Management, or CVEM. And it's more than just exposure management or vulnerability management. What is CVEM? Continuous Vulnerability and Exposure Management introduces a fresh perspective to cybersecurity by evaluating an organization's IT infrastructure security status from the weakness angle. This allows it to strengthen your security posture, capable of defending against cyber attacks by assessing your IT infrastructure in its entirety. By analyzing and independently, CVEM unlocks incredible insights into potential risks your organization might face and helps you mitigate them effectively. So, how is it better than exposure or vulnerability management? More than just software vulnerabilities. Modern cyber attacks are multi-directional. The narrow and limited focus on CVE, or software vulnerabilities in legacy exposure and vulnerability management solutions, covers just a small portion of what attackers exploit. CVEM doesn't miss out on CVEs, misconfigurations, posture anomalies, missing patches, or asset exposures. More than just assessment. The industry often misuses the word management in place of detection. It's not management if it can't assess, remediate, and fix. CVEM doesn't just stop at detecting vulnerabilities or risks. It also assesses and remediates them, either with a patch or additional mitigation controls. More than just periodic. Security risks pop up all the time, but their detection and remediation is typically a one-time process. Threat actors don't wait and can attack at any time. So, timely discovery and mitigation are key. Vulnerability and weakness management should be continuous, automated, and repetitive. CVEM makes the detection and remediation process continuous, so you are always secure. The SanerNow solution. SanerNow CVEM implements visibility, normalization, detection, prioritization, remediation, and reporting to manage attack surfaces and exposures, as well as prevent cyber attacks. By implementing a continuous vulnerability and exposure management solution on the entire gamut of devices in your infrastructure, you can exponentially reduce the attack surface, prevent cyber attacks, and protect what matters the most. CVEM, more than just vulnerability or exposure management.
All right. So CVEM is the framework that we rely on at SecPod to define the roadmap for our product. So 6.1 is, of course, relying on that framework to help organizations to further strengthen their attack and prevent recovery. So with that, let me give you a quick introduction to the SanerNow 6.1 features, and post that we'll get into a demonstration of some of these capabilities. So one of the need is to be able to perform an assessment without having to deploy an agent on every device. So this is something that has been an ask from our customers and partners. So this wonderful capability has been introduced with SanerNow 6.1. We are also bringing in granular visibility into the IT assets in a standardized format that you can document, use that for integration with other products, etc. And there's also a need for establishing sort of evidence of why this particular vulnerability is detected or why this misconfiguration is detected in the IT infrastructure, so that the administrators will have the opportunity to triage that particular vulnerability and make a decision. And there's, of course, with every release, we are introducing support for newer operating system or a newer flavor of operating system. And we have done so in 6.1 as well. We've also introduced compliance coverage for a newer industry benchmarks. And there's an improvement to our cyber hygiene scoring, and there's a new monitoring probe that we have developed for Linux devices. So these are the features that we have. One is the Agentless Scanner to detect vulnerabilities and misconfigurations across all the devices that are present in a particular network without having to deploy an agent. This would be an authenticated scanning. So given the credentials for the target devices, we would be able to assess all of those devices remotely in a matter of a few minutes. And we have also introduced a device tagging. So hundreds of additional attributes can be added to every device for better manageability, to help understand the devices and also perform operations based on these additional tags across the product. And as per the CMDB schema, everything that we are discovering is exposed as per the CMDB schema. So this will help integrate with other products, ITSM or IT asset management products, etc. So there's a single source of truth that we are operating with this particular inventory. Proof of detection, which is an evidence for why a vulnerability or a misconfiguration is marked as vulnerable. So we give enough evidence now to showcase or bring to the forefront why a particular vulnerability was detected. We have introduced support for IBM AIX, which has been a big ask from our customer base, mainly financial institutions running on those banking applications on this particular OS. Now we have the support for providing deeper visibility into the IBM AIX devices, and also detect vulnerabilities and mitigate those vulnerabilities as well. And we are introducing coverage for NIST CSF, Cybersecurity Framework, and STINK. These are the benchmarks that are devised by NIST and Department of Defense. So we now have the ability to assess the devices against this benchmark, or baseline the devices against this, and automate the fixing as well to ensure continuous compliance to these particular benchmarks. Our cyber hygiene score now includes our prioritized risks. Previously, we considered vulnerabilities, misconfigurations, missing patches, and posture anomalies to compute the cyber hygiene score. Now we have also included the the risk prioritization modules output to compute the CHS score. So if there are vulnerabilities in the ACT category, for example, it will bring down the CHS. Or if there are no vulnerabilities in the ACT category, it will help improve the cyber hygiene score. And device encryption for Linux devices, we have introduced disk encryption monitoring capability, LUX encryption. So these are some of the new capabilities that we have introduced as part of 6.1. Of course, there are a number of additional features and enhancements that we have done as well. But these are the 8 primary features that are introduced as part of 6.1. Over to Kaushik now to demonstrate each of these capabilities and walk through of capabilities as well. Over to you, Kaushik.
Sure. Thank you, Chandra. Um, so I'm sure audience would be excited to see a demonstration of each of this feature. So what I will be doing is I'll be covering each of the feature, providing you an overview and then actually demonstrating it. Um, so we'll get started with the first feature, the agentless scanner, right? So as Chandra mentioned, we have the agent-based scanning, but now we are introducing agentless scanning. So this is basically uh, ideal for an IT environment which demands an agentless scan. So of course, with agent scan, we can do a lot more capabilities like patch management and remediation, but there are certain use cases where you still want to get accurate vulnerability and misconfiguration information without an agent being deployed, right? So with this agentless scanner capability, you'll be able to achieve those, right? And with authenticated scans, you'll definitely get a deeper insights into all the vulnerabilities and misconfigurations. We also support on-demand scans as well as you can schedule scans based on either daily, weekly, monthly. So those flexibilities exist. And we have enhanced our existing network scanner functionality to do this authenticated agentless scan, right? And we support both SMB and SSH based authentication to authenticate to the remote targets. So what I will do is I'll go ahead and demonstrate how do you set this up and how do you run the scans and visualize the vulnerabilities and misconfiguration detected. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Just one second. Chandra, can you confirm if you're able to see my screen?
You can see.
All right. So for some of you have either started using SanerNow, all our existing customers would be familiar with this unified dashboard, which provides a complete view into their IT assets. So we start with providing the visibility and what is your cyber hygiene score. We also provide information about all the detection, the vulnerability, the misconfiguration, how many anomalies are present, and also the missing patches, which will remediate all the vulnerabilities and also provide you insight into the risk prioritization out of all the vulnerabilities, what has been detected, how many are there in the ACT category, attend, and also the factors influencing. And this is from here, right from here, you can also look at all your remediation, what patches are available, and you can remediate them, right? So, but let's jump into the agentless scanning on how you can accomplish this. So, I'll go to the control panel, and for some of you who are already using network scanner, this will be a familiar place. So for agentless scanning, first thing what you need to do is designate an existing agent to play the role of a network scanner. So we don't need any additional hardware for running this particular capability. So if you have already installed SanerNow agents, you can go to scanners. And right now for this demo purpose, I have already designated two of them, but you can choose to designate any of your existing agents. All you need to do is to just designate, right? So once you designate, there are two things which you need to do. One is you need to create a scan policy. So the scan policy, the scan config. So the scan config will tell you what targets you need to scan, right? For example, let's say we create a scan config here. I can give it in a CADR format as well. For example, if I want to scan 1.1 to 254, I'll be able to do that. And also, if you look at the scan schedule, so I can choose to run this as a one-time activity, or if I want to run it daily, I'll be able to select the start time and time. Of course, weekly as well as monthly, you get the flexibility. So you can create the scan config. So, okay, I need to provide the mandatory parameters. For now, I'll just say none. So scan config will tell you what targets needs to be scanned and what is the scan schedule, right? And once you create the scan config, the next logical step would be to create the scan policy. So scan policy will decide what scripts needs to be executed, right? So if you look at it, we also have support for remote scanning for IP-enabled devices like firewalls, routers, switches, right? So you can choose any of these scripts, but let's talk about the agentless scanning. So this is the one which you need to be enabling it. So it's called local security check. So the moment you click on the local security check, it will ask you whether you want to run authenticated scan, compliance, or vulnerability. You can choose either both or one of them depending on what you need. Um, so if you select all of this, what happens is for a target device, it will do both remote scanning as well as authenticated local scan. Let's say if you want to do only the local scan, you can unselect everything and then just select the vulnerability and compliance scan. So once you select this, the next step would be to provide the credentials. So we support, like I mentioned, we support both SMB and SSH credential depending on the target. So for most of the Linux, Mac, all the Unix platform, you can use SSH credential. You can provide the username, password, or you can provide the key. And if you have created a passphrase during the private key, you can provide that as well. Or if you have Windows targets, you can provide the SMB credential, your either local user or domain user. We support both of them. So you can create those credentials here using this option. So again, you can one time create a credential here and then you can use it across your account, or for this particular scan policy, if you want to create a credential, you can choose so for example, I've already created an SSH and SMP credential, so I can use this SSH credential, right? And if you have a mixed targets of both Linux and Windows and you want to run through one scan config, you can choose more than one credential as well. So we will try with the provided credential, whichever succeeds, we'll go ahead and use them, right? And after that, you just have to provide the name and the description for that. All right. So once you create the policy, what you need to do is go back to your network scanner summary page and you'll be able to see the list of scanners. So you can drop down this and just select the scan config which you have created as well as the policy, right? Once you select that, all you need to do is to run the scan, right? So if you trigger the scan, then it would initiate the scan and you'll be able to track the scan status here and also the last scan info. So here I have two scanners. One is Windows having Windows target, which uses SMB credential, and here I have a Linux target, which has a set of Linux target device. You can always mix and match. For this demo purpose, I just wanted to show you these two. So if you look at this, will give you the scanner status, and it will also give you, once the scan is complete, it will give you the overall last scan information. So you can look at what happened to the targets, how many targets scanned, how many targets not scanned, those details. And you can also download the report. Right, in this case, let's download the latest scan result. We provide two reports, two scan reports. Either you can download the last scan report or the previous scan as well. All right, let's open the report. So this is the scan report for this particular organization and site. So if you look at it, it will first summarize all the summary on when it was run, how much time duration it took. Then it will show you all the targets which are scanned. And then it gives you all the summary details like how many applications it detected, the port, the service, how many total vulnerabilities based on their, we categorize them as severity and also on the misconfiguration. Once this is done, we also go into details about each of the host name, how many vulnerabilities each device had, and the breakup on the severity between critical, high, medium. In addition to that, if you scroll down, we also go into details about each of the vulnerability, provide the description, and also give details about on what and all devices we were able to detect. So pretty detailed report for you to get insights into your agentless scanning. So once the scan is done, you'll be able to see the devices as well. So let's go into one of the site. And click on the devices. So the manage device page would show you both the endpoints as well as the network scan devices. So this is the manage device page where it will list all the devices. So if you look at it, these are all the agents where the endpoints have been installed. And these are the devices where we have remotely uh, authenticated and gathered all the vulnerability and misconfiguration. So one of the device which we have remotely scanned or authenticated scan and we've got the information, we can get into the individual device page of these. So this is one of the things. So now if you look at it, there's a scanner field and it will tell you whether a local agent is installed or it is a remote scanner. So this is a remote scanner. And if you look at it, we capture all the information, the device name, the operating system, uh, the total number of cores, RAM, all the details, and also the assets, which will have the applications, the devices, the services which are running, the processors, ports. In addition to that, all the vulnerabilities, what has been detected on this particular device, and also on the misconfiguration. So these are the vulnerabilities, what has been detected. There's Google Chrome and list of vulnerabilities. Similarly, the misconfigurations as well, what and all are the misconfigurations detected on this particular device. All right, that's the agentless scanner for you. We'll go back to the next feature. So the next capability which we have built is the device tagging. So with the device tagging, becomes really easy for you to locate your devices. You can create your own tags. You can create your own custom groups, the search filters. A lot of use cases wherein, let's say, you want to create a patching job for a set of devices in one part of the location, or let's say you have all your database servers where you don't want to remediate, but you want to remediate your application middleware servers. So there are so many use cases which the device tagging is going to help you, where you can easily manage your devices with these tags. And we have enhanced this tagging capability across the product. So in the dashboards, in the reports, creating the groups, creating the remediation tasks, filtering out a lot of capabilities, everything. And it will allow you to modify, delete, add any custom tags. So let me demonstrate to you about this capability. All right. So if you look at this manage device page now, we have this tags filter.
Kaushik, not yet shared screen.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank
Good.
you, Chandra.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you look at the manage device page now, you can see the tags, right? So you can click on the tag and you can create your own custom tags, right? So if you look at some of them are the default tags which we add, like IP address, MAC address, all those details. But in addition to this, you can always add a tag, right? For example, so you can create tags like this and you can save it. Or if you want multiple devices, you can select it and then you can either create a tag or a delete a tag. And once you do this, you'll be able to filter out based on this particular tags, right? Let me show you a few use cases where it is really helpful. Let's create a group. So earlier, you creating a group was based on host name, IP address, operating system, family device. But now we have built the capability to, you can actually provide a tag criteria, right? For example, you want all the server type being a database, right? You want to filter based on this particular group, and uh, all the devices which has the database tags you want to create a group, you'll be able to do that. Similarly, let's say you want all the servers, but you don't want the database servers to be included, right? You'll be able to get those and then create groups. So basically, not in or equal, right? So both are possible. In addition to that, if you look at any of our dashboards, we have built the capabilities for you to filter out the dashboards with this tag criteria. So if you look at it, most of the places we have this tags criteria. So, right, so you can filter out that. So similarly, let's say you go to missing patches, you want to create a patching task. let's say only for application servers, right? I'm just giving an example of application server, but it can be any of your tags. It could be for a particular servers in a particular building, or it could be based on all the missing patches for a particular set of owners, right? Anything is possible. Let's say application, right? You can apply. So now this is going to filter out only patches which are there for the devices with the tag application. So you can just select and say apply selected patches. So 175 patches, two devices will be created and it will get remediated. So in addition to that, if you look at reports as well, we have built this capability wherein you can create any of the report. For example, let's say you are creating a device details report to fetch all the information about the devices. Here also you can create a tag filter and say that get me all the um, all the devices which has this particular tag, right? Or let's say you want to filter out for a particular uh, user. So all those is possible. So if you look at it, one of the machine is owned by this user too. You can apply this filter and it will provide that particular information, right? So you can create at the individual reports or you can bunch, you can create many of these reports and apply the global filter as well. So with this, um, you can perform several operations based on the asset tagging, which will be very useful for the IT admins. All right, so let's go to the next set of feature. One second. Okay, so the next one is on the CMDB import and export. So uh, this capability provides, with this capability, it provides a comprehensive understanding of your IT environment. So typically, you get a single source of truth. We have several use cases here. Again, one of them would be that you want to use the SanerNow, which already has discovered all the configuration items, the devices, and all its details, and you want to export that into a CMDB schema, and then you want to use that exported information to import into any of the ITSM application. That is possible. Similarly, if you have any other application where you want to export the device information along with all the asset tagging and import it into SanerNow and then deploy the agents, that is also possible. So in addition to this, now we also support, you can import the tags as well as with the existing tags also when you export devices, we export all the relevant tags as well. So let me demonstrate to you this capability. So we have to go to the control panel and manual import. This is how you import the CMDB. We support both CSV as well as JSON. Um, let's say we try to import a CMDB data. So it does a pre-validation to see if all the mandatory fields are present and the MAC address is in the right format, IP address in the format, and it provides you a summary that how many devices it's going to import. So in this case, if your CSV or JSON has additional attributes, all of them will be added as a tag so that you can perform any of the operations within the same now. So if you click on the import, all those 50 devices will get imported into SanerNow. So if you see, all those 50 new devices got imported, right? So let's say if we want to export, so we can go to the manage device page, and here you can choose one or more options. Let's say you want to export all of these devices into the CMDB format along with the tags and filters. So we provide you both the options. Either you want to export it in the CSV format or JSON format. Let's say we choose to export into CSV. You can pick and choose the fields as well. If you want, if you don't want certain fields, you can unselect. And once you click on the export, you'll be able to export all this information in the CMDB format. All right, we'll go into the next feature. Yeah, next one is the proof of detection. Um, so along with the vulnerabilities and misconfiguration which we detect, now we provide you a deeper insight into why we have detected those vulnerability and misconfiguration, and gives you a lot more clarity in terms of like why a vulnerability exists. And it's very intuitively represented where it can you can easily visualize and understand that why there is a vulnerability or misconfiguration. So I'll just demonstrate to you shortly. And we already support all the flavors of Linux, Mac, and Windows, and now we have added support for IBM AIX as well with the 6.1. So I'll just quickly touch upon both these features. All right. So every device, when it has vulnerability and misconfiguration, uh, let's take an example of this particular device. Let's go to vulnerabilities. So these are all the vulnerabilities which it has detected, right? Now, if you look at it, in addition to that, so let's say this is the application team viewer, and it has detected a CVE, which is a buffer flow vulnerability, and it's a criticality. I mean, it's a critical severity. So now, if you look at it, we also provide an evidence, a proof of detection. Basically, it provides you the evidence of why we have detected. So in this case, if you look at it, this vulnerability exists because the team viewer version is less than 15.4.6. If team viewer version is less than this, then there's a vulnerability, and what we detected is this version, right? And if you look into it, you'll see that this version is installed, which is vulnerable to this particular CVE. In addition to that, we also provide details about the file path, file name, and all other details. So this helps you in getting deeper insight into vulnerabilities. Sometimes when you want to further investigate certain vulnerabilities, this information will come in very handy, right? Similarly, if you go to misconfigurations, so same way, we are going to give you proof of why we are saying that certain things, certain security controls are having deviation. So just an example, for example, if you look at it requires secure RPC communication, and we were checking if the secure RPC communication is enabled. So in this case, it is not, right? So we have identified this as a deviation. Similarly, we also look at if something is not a deviation, also we provide like what exactly we checked and why we say that this is adhering to the compliance. So we do both of them. In addition to that, we also have introduced two new reports if at all you want to get a summary of all the vulnerabilities along with its evidence. Um, First one is the vulnerabilities by devices, and the second one is the misconfigurations by devices. So you can choose the evidence here and you can filter out for set of devices. Again, you can use tags or you can use any of the existing filters. And then we provide for each of the vulnerability clearly on why we have detected the vulnerability, right? So you can export this into a CSV format and you can use it for further analysis. So this is going to be really helpful when you want to download a set of vulnerabilities along with its evidence and you want to investigate. So this provides a deeper insight into all the vulnerabilities and misconfigurations. So that's about the proof of detection. And quickly, I'll be moving into the AIX support. So if you look at it, let me go to the agent deployment for a second so that you understand all the platforms what we support. Right. So, like I mentioned, we support all the flavors of Windows and all the Linux flavors, RPM, Debian, Alpine, as well as Mac. Along with that, now with this 6.1 SanerNow, we have introduced support for IBM AIX as well. So, if you look at it, we now have an option to download the AIX platform. So, I'll just we are going to go to manage device page and look at the IBM AIX platform and then look at the kind of vulnerabilities and patches it has detected. So if you look at it, there is an AIX machine. It's a 7.2 version. So yeah, it has identified all the system information like operating system, the processor, cores, other device details, and assets, what assets exist on this particular device, all the application, the devices, the service, and also the vulnerabilities, what it has detected on this AX machine, and also on the patches. There's the installed patches, and these are all the missing security patches. So with this, we can secure the AX as well, identifying any vulnerabilities and remediating them. So the next set of features or capabilities we have uh, done with 6.1. One is the NIST CSF and the stick. So as part of our compliance management, we already support several benchmarks. So starting with 6.1, now we support both the CSF and stick compliance, which you can apply uh, to the devices and identify what are the deviations and also mitigate them. I'll just demonstrate that to you. In addition to that, we have introduced risk prioritization metrics as well, which includes into the overall CHS score. So let's go into the compliance management to look at the two new benchmarks which has been created. So this is your compliance management dashboard, which gives you all the details about the existing benchmarks. So let's go ahead and create a new benchmark. So we already support general compliance, NIST, PCI, and HIPAA. So if you look at it now, we support NIST CSF as well as stick compliance. So you can either choose whichever compliance depending on your operating system and then go ahead and select to the set of devices. Or if you want to customize as well, that is supported. So if you look at it, each one of them is a group category where we check for the deviations, and each of these group category will have certain rules, right? So if at all you want to disable certain rule or you want to disable the entire group and customize based on your needs, you'll be able to do that, including changing any values. But this benchmark is created based on certain standards. So if you want to go ahead and apply the default, that is also possible. All you need to do is choose device and just create a name for this and apply it to this particular group. Once you do that, immediately you'll be able to, we run a scan against the device and we will show you all the deviations. So in this case, what I've done is the NIST CSF I've applied to one of the Ubuntu group and the stick benchmark I've applied to the Windows 11. So if you look at it, it provides you the information about all the statistics like how many are compliant, how many are non-compliant. You can also look at the deviation by the devices and see how many rules have passed and failed, what are those severity, and also we provide remediation scripts to fix these deviations as well, right? You can drill down and get into more details about each one of the rules, what has passed or failed. You'll be able to get that. And also, you can look at each of this misconfiguration more into detail and get the information. So this is to get a view on all the misconfiguration and what has passed or failed. Uh, Once you do that, you'll be able to go to fix misconfiguration and remediate them as well. For example, like you want to remediate this, all you need to do is to select the asset with all the patches, or you can customize as well and just apply select configuration and create a remediation tasks. This will fix all the deviations, whatever has been detected, right? In addition to that, you have certain task controls where you want to customize in terms of like when you want a reboot or you want certain remediation scripts to be executed. In addition to that, you can also create an automation, which is more of continuous uh, a rule kind of a thing, wherein you can select a particular asset and say any misconfiguration found for this. You will be able to automatically detect on daily, weekly, monthly basis, and it is going to apply the remediation script. So instead of creating uh, on demand, you can also create a rule for it so that it's a continuous operation. So you're able to see my screen, right?
Yes, still on.
Okay. All right. So that's about the new compliance benchmarks which we have introduced as part of 6.1. The next thing I'm going to talk about is your cyber hygiene score, um, which indicates what's your cyber hygiene for an organization or account, or you can drill down to a particular device as well. The number closer to 100 is good. That means you don't have a lot of vulnerabilities, missing patches, or missing configuration and anomalies. But as part of 6.1, what we have done is we have introduced CHS, uh, which includes risk prioritization as well. So for people who are familiar with the risk prioritization, we are the first vendor to implement the SSVC framework to prioritize any of the vulnerabilities. So we follow the framework where we identify all the risks, and based on a certain categorization, we tell them what falls into act, attend, track, and track star. So let's say you have set of vulnerabilities which are more on the internet facing or business centric kind of a devices. So, and if the vulnerability severity is high, it falls into the act category where you need to act immediately. So if you have a lot of vulnerabilities into the act category, that will impact your CHS score. So if you look at it, until 6.0, we used to have the weightage for vulnerabilities, misconfiguration, missing patches, and posture anomalies. But now we have introduced for prioritized risk, which is risk prioritization. All right, this is the last slide. I would like to give few minutes back to Chandra as well. So, as part of this, we have introduced a new probe which can monitor Luke's encryption, which is enabled on the Linux devices. So, as part of the posture anomaly, if at all any of your devices does not have encryption enabled and some of the devices have encryption enabled, we detect as part of the posture anomaly. I'll quickly show that and hand it over to Chandra. We'll go to the posture anomaly. The posture anomaly detects any of the anomalies which exist in the in your environment. So if you look at all anomalies, now we detect Luke's encryption as well. So if you look at it, one of the device has Luke's encryption enabled and other devices does not have, right? So if the expectation is for all your Linux devices to have the Luke's encryption enabled, and if some of the devices does not have, we highlight that as an anomaly. All right, with this, I will hand it over to Chandra. Hopefully, this was useful, and I'm sure you'll all be excited to explore these features and start using them. Over to you, Chandra.
Thank you, Kaushik. Certainly wonderful to see from the other side. I had that opportunity to look at it from the outside and see how the product really looks. Looks beautiful. Thank you for that wonderful demo. Now that we have introduced number of capabilities at 6.1, our innovation focused mind has already started thinking about 6.2, and we have started implementing some of these capabilities as well. So in the in the near future, we will have some wonderful capabilities coming into 6.2. So one of that, something that almost all of our customers are looking forward to is the remote control or the remote desktop sharing capability. So that is one thing that is getting introduced. There is also a feature to provision, operating system deployment, imaging, restoring, etc. So that is another wonderful capability coming in as part of our endpoint management module. Scripting, command execution, file copying, all of these are going to be part of endpoint management in the upcoming 6.2 release. We are very excited to of course, bring that out with 6.2 and talk about it in another product webinar that we will be hosting in the near future. With that, I would open up for any questions. We probably, I don't think we have much time left out. There were some wonderful capabilities to demonstrate as part of the demo. So let's see if I can read out a few questions and conclude that. So one of the questions from Mark is, how is the licensing working? If you do an agentless scan, or when you scan for VM on a network, routers and printers also counted for a license. So if you do an agentless authenticated scan, it would be the number of devices that you would scan on, and those will be counted for licensing. The agentless scan that we demonstrated today works against Windows, Linux, Mac, and AIX operating systems with SMB and SSH-based credentials. So if you select only local security checks and feed in the SMB and SSH credentials, we will only assess those devices and not the network devices, unless you have, as part of the network scanner policy configuration, you have selected all other policies relevant for network devices. We won't be counting that in the licensing. Yeah, one another question I see is that how is it different from other vendors' remote scanning capability? Is there any differentiation that you're bringing? Yes, of course. One of the we were sort of pioneer in introducing the concept of fast scanning, integrated remediation, etc. So obviously, with the introduction of network scanning, we didn't want to lose out on those capabilities, being able to assess the network quickly. In about 5 minutes, we are able to assess irrespective of the number of devices. And we also, the network bandwidth capability. Network bandwidth is one of the other concerns when you use other products. So chokes the network. So that is one another thing that we have taken care. So the scan performance, as well as consuming less bandwidth and less system resources. So we are kind of retaining those capabilities even with the authenticated or agentless capability. All right. There are a few more questions. I think we will reach out to those individuals over email. Thanks to all of you for taking the time to be part of this demonstration today. Please feel free to reach out to us. You have our support at secpod.com in case you need to reach out to us for any capability, understanding, etc. We are happy to assist on that. So with that, I would like to conclude today's session. Thanks to all of you, and thank you, Kaushik.
Thank you, Chandra. Thank you all.